Hey guys, I wanted to do a fun little rant video today where I sort of reply to some of the comments I have gotten on reviews and also just kind of where I talk about what is really fucking annoying that people comment on reviews and sort of just give my rebuttal to a lot of these common comments that I get a lot in all of my reviews. So let's get into it. If I seem like a dick in this video, it's because I am. And these people that comment this stuff, most of them, I should say, not all of them, but most of them are being dicks in their comments. So, I just return the energy I'm given. I reciprocate the same energy. So, if I pick up that you're being an asshole in a comment, I'm going to be an asshole back. That's just kind of how it works. I'm not one of these people that's like killing with kindness or anything like that. I think that if you're being an idiot, I'm going to treat you like an idiot. And that's how I live my life. And it's served me pretty well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, by far the most common comment that I get on reviews that is just fucking annoying is, oh, you didn't play long enough. You didn't do enough of the side content. Essentially, you didn't 100% the video game, so you cannot review the video game. Now, I got this on uh I've gotten this on Baldur's Gate review, I've gotten this on Starfield review, now I'm getting this in Lords of the Fallen review. First things first, you do not have to beat a game to review a game. And that may be controversial if you're brain dead or something like that. But a review is just a statement of your opinion on a product. That's all it is. That's all any of my reviews are. My honest reviews are just me telling you my final impressions of a game and what I thought about the game. That's it. There's no like objective stating of facts, right? You guys may know I'm a scientist. There is nothing scientific about a review, okay? I work in the world of objective and fact, right? And rationale. There's none of that in a review. It's entirely subjective. There's very few things that you can talk about objectively in a review. Okay? Very few things. Stuff like performance, graphical fidelity, right? Stuff like that you can talk about objectively, but that's about where it starts and ends. Like anything in terms of your experience with the gameplay, even down to level design, is entirely subjective. So, you know, a review is literally just your statement of your feelings about the product. And as a result, you do not have to beat a game to know if the game isn't good, right? Back in Starfield, people saying you need to play 12 hours for it to get good. No, you don't. You played 3 hours, 4 hours of Starfield, and you know if you like it or not. It's that simple. And at this point, I've put in probably like 85 hours of Starfield. I enjoyed it enough. But anybody saying you have to put 12 hours in, I knew exactly how I felt about Starfield like 3 or 4 hours in. Did it do like some narrative things every now and then that were interesting? Sure. That I didn't expect? Sure. But that's not going to skew my review. Nobody's going to nobody's going to play Starfield and fucking hate the game 11 hours in, and then once they get to the 12th hour they're like, "Wait a second. I just had a come to Jesus moment. This game is incredible." That doesn't fucking happen, right? So, the idea that you didn't play long enough or you didn't do enough for a review is just fucking stupid. And I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I do far more in terms of gameplay than most reviewers out there. And that's why my reviews come out later, right? I almost never release a review for a game like the first day or two that it comes out. because I usually am doing the side content. I usually am reading documents, right? Like reading the text and the lore in the game. And you can check any of this by just watching my streams. Like, I stream almost every single game that I review, and you can see how thoroughly I play these games. Lords of the Fallen, right? Just came out. I had a guy. I can actually read the exact comment because we're doing a little bit of uh comment response here. He says 28 hours. That's how long it took me to do Lords of the Fallen. You didn't even experience all this game had to offer. 28 hours. You skipped a lot. Um Yes, there's 3 different endings of the game. So in order to review the game, do I have to beat the game 3 fucking times? Like, in your mind, 28 hours. The average completion for the game is 29 to 30 hours. I barely beat it faster, and that's just because I'm significantly better than the average person at Souls-likes because I've played so many of them, you know? Like, it's so funny. Like, 28 hours is not a super fast completion. And if you watched my playthrough, then you would see I got a bunch of the achievements for doing the side quests as well. I did the entire Dunmire side quest. I did Pieta's side quest. I did Storman's side quest, right? I kind of messed up Storman's side quest at the very, very end, but like, I did all these side quests. I went to the optional areas and backtracked. Like, this is just fucking stupid, right? This comment. So that one annoys me a lot. I get it more so in big games like Starfield, where people are like, oh my god, you didn't travel to all 600 planets? You can't review the game. That shit is just fucking dumb. And one thing that you'll see is that a lot of the things that I don't like in comments are things where people don't like my opinion on the game, right? Typically, they like the game. I do not like the game, or I'm criticizing the game. And they don't like that I'm doing that. So they're attempting to discredit me in my opinion. Oh, you can't have an opinion. You beat the game in 28 hours. Dude, I could have an opinion if I played 10 hours. Okay? Like, it's so weird to me. Which brings me on to the next thing. That I, not necessarily that I dislike, I just don't understand the point of. And that is the comments of like, oh, well, I like the game. Or that thing that you complained about, that didn't bother me. This isn't like something that's mean. So I'm like not gonna be mean to these people, but just I just genuinely do not understand the point of these comments. Right? Like, okay, you like the game. Good for you. What does that have to do with the video or with the conversation, right? Now, if people are like, oh, well, I like this thing about the game that you dislike, and here's why, right? They give some elaboration. Well, that's interesting because that can actually lead to some intellectual discourse. And maybe I can actually have my eyes open to a new, fresh perspective on something, right? So that's different. What I'm talking about is these comments that are like, nah, the game is good. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. The game is great. Lords of the Fallen. I had a lot of people be like, this is one of the best Souls likes out there. What are you talking about? This guy's fucking wrong. Don't listen to him. Dude, it's my review. Once again, it's subjective. Okay? Like, I honestly, okay, and I don't want this to sound mean, but I'm just keeping it 100 here. I honestly don't give a fuck if you like the game. That has nothing to do with me, and that has nothing to do with my review of my opinion of the game. If you want to talk about how you love Lords of the Fallen, make your own review, or any game, right? Make your own review, man, and talk about how great the game is. That's totally fine. But I don't really understand this whole point of like coming to a review that you already know the person doesn't like the game, right? I don't hide that in the thumbnail. I don't hide that in the in like the description or the pinned comment or even just the title of Lords of the Fallen, right? It's very apparent I do not like the game. Why are you clicking on that and then just being like, oh, I do like the game. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Dude, no one is saying you cannot like a game. And this is a thing that I think a lot of people do not understand. You can like a game someone else doesn't like. Like, this is not some crazy concept. One of my favorite games is Dead Island 1. Dead Island 1, like, pretty universally is considered a bad game. And I understand why. The voice acting is shit, the graphics were bad, even then the gameplay is clunky, but there's something about it, like some B-movie horror type thing that I love. Now, does that mean that Dead Island 1 is a good game? No. But it means I like it and I enjoy it. But I'm not going to go to people's reviews of Dead Island 1, right, where they're saying that they don't like the game, and I'm not going to be like, oh, I do like the game. Don't listen to this guy. This guy's a fucking piece of shit. It's just so mind-boggling to me, the mental gymnastics that occur in these people's heads that makes them actually think that this is a good idea to do. But, you know, let's move on to the next thing. So what I'm saying is it's okay to like a game that I don't like. And I don't care if you like a game that I don't like, because I'm sure I like games that you don't like. That's the beauty of video games. They're an artistic medium. If you go to a fucking museum, I guarantee you there's going to be certain art pieces you like, certain ones you don't. That's just how it is, man. It's art. So it's a weird thing. Like, people try and treat reviews as if there's some objective declaration of the quality of the product. And they're not. And they will never be. And that's why you see a wide range of review scores, even for games that are like universally heralded, right? Like Mass Effect 2, right? My personal favorite video game of all time. I know people that don't like Mass Effect 2. They think the gameplay is clunky and they don't like it. And that's fine. And they're not wrong for thinking that. Okay? It's like just such a weird conversation to even have. Like, we're just talking about, I'm just making a video about how I like a game or don't like a game. That's it. That's all. I'm not wrong because you like the game. You're not wrong because you like the game. And I don't like the game, right? I do think it's okay to like bad games. Like, Dead Island 1 is a bad game. I can say that. Even though I enjoy the game, I can say that. And even if you enjoy something like Lords of the Fallen, you can be like, yeah, it has issues. And obviously it has issues, right? Something you can speak about objectively is if a product is getting patched, right? If a game is getting patched and developers are communicating and saying, yes, this is an issue, and yes, we're fixing it. For example, the density in Lords of the Fallen. The developers themselves admitted, yeah, it's fucked. It's way too high. We're tuning it back. We're working on it. So at that point, then you can make an objective declaration that the density is just too fucking high. I mean, the people that made the game themselves have admitted that it is too high, right? Now, you can absolutely not care. You can say, oh, the density didn't bother me, and that's fine. But at that point, it is something wrong with the product because the developers themselves have stated that it is wrong with the product. So I just think a lot of people, they kind of get up in their feelings about it. They get up in their feelings and they think, oh my God. Really, I think it comes down to money a lot of the time. Is people are like, I spent $60 on this game, and people are talking bad about this game. I like this game. I need to defend this game, right? And I just think it's silly, personally. The next thing is that fucking annoys me is commentaries about the gameplay to sort of once again try and discredit the review. So, this was apparent in Lords of the Fallen. In that, I just picked some gameplay where I thought it, from my most recent stream of the game, where I thought that it showcased a good amount of the mechanics. I thought it showcased the ranged weapons, thought it showcased the umbral mechanic, thought it showcased what happens when you stay in the umbral mechanic for too long, right? So that's why I picked it. And I also did think it was a fucking terrible area that I wanted to showcase. But then people in the comments started being like, oh, you fucking idiot. Those enemies, you can do this thing. You fucking moron. You didn't know that you can do this thing against the enemies? See, this is why you can't listen to the guy's review. He didn't even know that you can soul flay the heads and it opens them. All right. What does that have to do with the review? Like, what does that have to do with any of my complaints? Like, does the fact that you can soul flay and open the heads suddenly make it good level design to have 3 of the heads all in an area together? No, it doesn't. So, what the fuck is the point? You know, like what I don't understand. Well, I do understand. They're attempting to say, oh, this guy, you can't trust his review because he's, not good at the game or something. Which, for the record, no arrogance or anything. But whenever I review a game, especially of this nature, that's more difficult or considered difficult, I always make it a point to look at other content creators and see how they fared. So for Lies of P, I did this. For Lords of the Fallen, I did this. For any of these like Souls likes, I'll go to several of the biggest Twitch streamers that have death counters on, and I will check how many deaths they had at the end of the game. And I will check how many deaths they had at various points in the game and compare myself to them because I also have death counters on when I play these games. And I can tell you resoundingly, I am significantly better than practically all of them. Like, that's just a fact. Like, especially with Lies of P, I ended the game with like 73 deaths. I was checking, people were at 300, 400, 500 deaths. People are already at 200 deaths, like, just after the King of Puppets, the Romeo fight. So, like, you're not going to get me with some sort of like skill issue thing because it's just an objective fact that I'm significantly better than the average person playing these games, at least the average streamer. But the average streamer is probably better than the average person playing the game. So if I'm better than the average streamer at the game, then I'm significantly better than the average person at playing the game, right? So that's just kind of how these things work. So it's like not a skill issue thing. And once again, someone's skill does not impact their review at all. Like, even if I was fucking terrible and I finished the game with like 800 deaths or something preposterous, right? Just terrible at the game, I can still have a review because it's my opinion on the game. Like, it's a very strange thing. I don't really understand it. And then the final thing, and I've talked about this before. This isn't a review specific problem, but it is something that becomes far more apparent in reviews. Is people commenting without watching the whole video. So like Lords of the Fallen, for example, the title says the worst Souls like ever ? Because it is a question. And if you watch the review, I clearly state it's not the worst Souls like ever. I think it's one of the worst, but I don't think it's the worst, right? I specifically say Lords of the Fallen from like 2012 or whatever was worse, right? But there's so many people like just in the comment section being like, this isn't the worst ever, or my favorite one was a comment I got today. Let me see. Let's see this comment. This comment was really funny to me. He said, probably the most painful review I've ever sat through. It's starting good there. Seemingly, not only have you misunderstood every single concept this game has in it, but you consistently compare it to games it isn't like. Okay. compared to games that isn't like, what am I comparing it to fucking Call of Duty or something? What? And he elaborates. This game is more akin to the early Souls games. That's so weird, dude, because I literally compare it to Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 in the review. When I'm talking about the seedling system and how I dislike it and how the Dark Souls 1 system is preferable and even the Dark Souls 2 system is preferable, and I elaborate on why. That's just a classic example of like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I love it when people make these generalized statements. Uh, not only have you misunderstood everything, every single concept this game has in it. I misunderstood every single concept that the game has. Like, that's the most blanket generalized statement ever with no specificity. And the reason why it's not specific is because he didn't watch the video. And people do this all the time. They don't watch the video, or they'll watch like 3 minutes of the video. And they'll just be like, yep, I know what the whole 20-something minute video said. Listen, you don't have to watch the whole video of all my videos, okay? I'm not saying that. I am saying don't make yourself look like a fucking mongoloid by posting a comment saying that, oh, you don't understand, this game's like early Souls games, when I literally fucking compare it to Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. What, do you mean Demon Souls? It's comparable to Demon Souls. Early Souls games, but only Demon Souls, not Dark Souls 1. Like, it just doesn't make sense, dude. And I see this all the time. It's people commenting based on the thumbnail or people commenting based on the title. Just either watch the video or don't. That's totally up to you. And I, to be honest with you, do not care either way. Whether you watch my videos or not, and once again, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just being honest. I've been making videos since I was like 12 years old, and I'm 27 now. Okay, and the vast majority of the videos get 0 views, or have gotten 0 views, or like under 10 views, right? I clearly am going to continue making content regardless of if you watch the content or not, because I like to make the content. It's that simple. It's fun for me. It's a hobby. So I don't really care if you watch it or not. I'm still going to continue making it. But just don't comment dumb stuff if you haven't watched the video. And realistically, I realize now the irony in putting this message at the end of the video as the last thing that annoys me, because really I should have put it at the beginning. Would have made more sense. Then those people would actually maybe see it. But now the only people that are even going to see this thing that annoys me are the people that already watched the entire video, so it's not even about them in the first place. God damn it. I'm a fool. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little rant because the Lords of the Fallen video, you know, it seems like it fell out of the algorithm. There was like a period of like 10 hours or so where it was like in the YouTube algorithm and it was actually being recommended to people. And it seems like it's fallen out now. Like it got like 1,800 views in the span of like 10 hours or something like that, and then just kind of fell off. But you know, I think that storm has finally passed. But with the storm came some funny shit that I wanted to kind of rant about and talk specifically about some of the comments, because they are things that I see not only in a lot of my reviews, but also just a lot of other people's reviews and just comments in general. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit, do a little rant. You know, I like to do a little rant every now and then, because who wants to pay for therapy, dude? Who wants to pay for therapy when I can sit here like a psychopath with my dog alone in a room talking to myself? Right? I mean, it's therapeutic and it's free. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see all of you in the next video with some Shermaroonie. Bye-bye.